then coming to chamber music and orchestra, both I want to loop them together somewhat because I think viola is an interesting instrument that at the beginning people don't often notice it because it's in the middle. But therefore it makes its role quite interesting. You're the glue that holds everybody together. You're the bridge that keeps the violin and the cello and the brass and the timpani, everybody together. And if violists couldn't play in tune or had bad rhythm, no matter how good the violin can sound, it's like you collapse. The orchestra collapses. So all of the good things that you carry to good playing, sound, intonation, rhythm, obviously are critical. Now, listening inside out, I think it's the word I often want to introduce to musicians because I think it makes you listen more than playing in some ways. And being a good violist means understanding of when you couple with the violin, when you couple with the cello, when you couple with the winds, how your job changes. So this year we have in the chamber music repertoire, we have the Dvorak viola quintet, which in itself is a bohemian quintet. Dvorak came to Iowa, and that's a very big deal. So what you hear is the Czech music influenced by what he experienced in America. So that by itself is quite interesting. Dvorak was a great violist. He loved the viola. In fact, his viola is still in the museum in Prague. It's very bright orange. and that he wrote something with two violas in the middle. It provides this incredibly rich sound to the group, but it also gave the violists incredible liberty. So first viola tended to go towards the violin and often created a dialogue with the violin in the dual capacity. And the second viola is almost like an upper cello. Second viola often doubled with the cello or provided more bass and richness and structure. And what I hear, interestingly, is I think Dvorak almost sort of framed the sonic world back to a Mozart quintet. Mozart viola quintets tended to do that. And instead of being a small chamber orchestra, it's like an augmented quartet. And so the voicing and dialogue are really, really interesting. So in the excerpts in the Dvorak, you have to be able to carry the viola voice as a solo voice. I think the excerpt would ask is that. But as you listen to it, I urge you really learn the entire quintet and not just what is required for the repertoire, because there are so many reasons why this is so interesting. It is one of the most beautiful and one of the most inspired Dvorak works, I think, on the level of the cello concerto. And you will be moved as you learn it. And so other than the solo excerpt, get to know the spirit and the feeling of the music. It's completely delightful. It's so spirited, and it will give you great joy learning it. And so whether the audition goes well or not, you will have gained by knowing this fantastic piece. Now going forward to the orchestra excerpt, the Strauss. So orchestra excerpt is also a very interesting place where there's almost, I want to say there's a bit of a dilemma, because of course when you're really in a section and playing, you probably won't be able to use any of the solo sounds that you would otherwise be presenting. However, listening to an excerpt in the solo setting, you are required to take care of the nuts and bolts. You are required still to really play as a soloist responsibly. And in this particular excerpt, Strauss was really the hero. There's something so bold and so incredibly unapologetic, and with that, the music comes alive. And I think the particularly the second excerpt, there's so many accidentals, and intonation becomes an issue. Doesn't become an issue, but it's something we would listen for. Rhythm and mixed bowing coming into the rhythm as you come off a very virtuosic passage, and keeping within integrity. It's something that will come across if we work right. So then lastly, actually, I guess I should talk a little bit about concerto playing, but I think this is maybe the area most people are most comfortable because we know that concerto playing, you are the voice that leads the group. So yes, play with all of you. Bring all the joy and the spirit and the passion into your audition is so critical. I often say, you could have a accurate audition, but it can sometimes come across quite flat and very uninteresting. What you can't put back into the camera is in fact the joy, the spirit, the character, what you decide to do with that music. So be as imaginative, as bold, and as open and as joyful as you can. I think that audition will go very well. Thank you for watching. I am Hsin-Yun Huang, violist, and I hope to see you at Taipei Music Academy Festival 2023 here in Taipei. 谢谢各位，我是中提琴家黄新云，很期待2023年的8月在台北大师新秀音乐节跟大家见面，谢谢。